When I first started using Godot, when I first came to Godot to use it, I was recommended this by one of the people off of my Blender channel. I wanted to use Godot for visual scripting. The visual scripting, I don't think worked that well. I was very frustrated with Godot, and I was like, I don't like this game engine. Uh, for those of you who know me from my Blender channel, I pretty much, and a similar thing happened to me with Blender. First tried out Blender, did not like Blender. And then I came back later and I liked Blender a lot. Kind of like the same thing that happened with Godot. Once I came back and started scripting in Godot, I realized that the way that you work in Godot, as well as the scripting, was very easy. And now I actually like Godot a lot. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to look to our left and we're going to select 3D scene. When I click this, you can see this spatial node here. The way that things work in Godot is they work by nodes, kind of like a tree. So this is like the main root, or this is the main root for the game. I'm going to click here and then change this to level. So pretty much everything in the game will be connected to this. What we want to do now is we want to make up something for our mech to stand on. Okay, so what we're going to do now is with this level selected, we're going to look to the left, select the plus button, and then we're going to look to this search bar right here. With this search bar, you tend to be able to search for whatever you need. So I'm going to type in mesh, and what I want is a mesh instance. When you work in Godot, the reddish objects tend to be 3D. The bluish objects tend to be 2D. So I'm going to select this mesh instance and then select create. Okay, this mesh instance that we added, this will allow us to actually be able to see our 3D shape. We're going to do that by working with these properties to the right. However, before we do that, we're going to bring in our other objects. So with this mesh instance here selected, we're going to select the plus button again. And what we want to do is bring in a static body. So I'll search for static body. You can see this is the reddish color, which is 3D. Working with 3D, so we'll select create. So now this little symbol you see here is saying like this wants certain things as well. And we'll deal with that. However, with this selected, we're going to select the plus button again. And this time we're going to select a collision shape is what we're looking for. So we'll select this. So then we'll select create. So now we have all of the objects that we need to make the ground that our mech is going to stand on. So we'll go to the mesh instance. And then with this selected, we'll go to the mesh to the right here. And we're going to select new cube mesh. Okay, so here is our cube. So what we want to do now is we want to work with the dimensions of this mesh. So we're going to look to where we see this transform here. We'll select the arrows so we can see. So particularly what you want to focus on the scale right here. So for this, what we're going to do is for the X, we're going to change this to 100. For the Y, we're actually going to change this to 0.5. For the Z, we're actually going to change this to 100 as well. Okay, so now that we have the dimension set up for our ground, we're going to go to static body. Static body deals basically with our physics. So now what we want to do is we're going to click this transform and we're going to pretty much do the same settings. So we're going to change this to 100, this to 0.5. We're going to also change this Z to 100. We're now going to go to the collision shape. And then for the collision shape, Godot wants the shape of the object. So we're going to look to the right. So we see shape. We're going to select here. We're going to select new box shape. And then what we want to do here is we want to go to the transform. And then for here, things are slightly different when you're working with the collision shape. Things go from the center of your object out. So essentially, most of your dimensions are halved, so they're half of what they are. So for here, for the scale, for this X, we're going to put in 50. For the Y, we're going to put in the same as before, 0.5. For the Z, we're going to put in 50. And that should give us what we need to have our mech be able to stand here. Okay, when we look to the upper left, we can see that our scene hasn't been saved. So we're going to go to scene and then save scene. So this being Godot, wants to save the scene as level.tscn, which is a standard Godot file. So we'll select save. Okay, as far as in the future wanting our mech to be able to move on this area that we made, this can be kind of difficult to see as you're moving because it's a flat color. So we'll add a texture to this. Before we do that, we're going to set up our folder structure. So we're going to look to the left here and see where we see this res, :/ We can right click here, and then we can select open in file manager. And that res is basically how Godot shows you your main folder that your Godot work is in. So I'm going to select open in file editor. Okay, so this is the folder that opened up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to name this scripts. Then I'm going to make another folder. I'm going to name this assets. Okay, here in this assets folder, so I'll double click to go in there, or I did double click to go in there. I'm going to make an art folder. I'll make another folder, and then I'll name this audio. I'm going to double click to go in the art folder. Okay, and here we're making these folders up for with the thought of us continuing to work on the work that we're doing here. So I'm going to select new folder. I'm going to name this background. This will be enemy. This will be player. This will be platforms. This will be tile set. This will be UI, standing for user interface.